Hi everyone, my name is Kayla. I have a Bachelor of Health Science Naturopathy and I'm a naturopath, Kayla, the Nurturing Naturopath. Welcome to my podcast Awareness. Today, June the 20th, is World Refugee Day and I have Corinne from ChildFund Australia joining me today. Hi Corinne, how are you?
Hi, Kayla. Thank you so much for having us join you this morning.
No worries, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Could you please tell us what World Refugee Day is?
So each year on the 20th of June, the world marks World Refugee Day. It's an international day designed to champion the rights of refugees and asylum seekers to seek safety and to advocate for long-term solutions to forced displacement. This World Refugee Day joins us shining a light on the rights and the needs of refugee children. And as you can imagine, Kayla, with all the news out there in the world, there becomes more and more refugees each and every day. So this is a really critical issue for us here in Australia, as well as globally.
Very true. And could you please tell us what a refugee is?
So a refugee is a person who has been forced to flee their country and across an international border, generally because of war, of violence, or a well-founded fear of persecution, sometimes because of their race, religion, nationality, political opinion, or membership in a social group. To become legally recognized as a refugee, the individual must apply for asylum. So while all refugees were once asylum seekers, not all asylum seekers get that refugee status. And refugees are often unable to return to their homes or would face threats to their safety if they were to return home.
Yeah, sad and scary.
Yeah,
And
very.
yeah. What is a refugee camp and roughly sort of how many people are in these sort of camps?
Listen, a refugee camp is a place where refugees are given protection by another country. Now, the world's largest refugee camp is in Bangladesh, in Cox's Bazar, and those people are displaced from Myanmar, generally speaking. I actually had the opportunity to visit Cox's Bazar in Bangladesh earlier this year, and yeah, there are 1 million people living together in very small and very confined areas. There are refugee camps all over the world, from small populations of 10,000 or less, all the way up to the biggest one where there's almost 1 million people. And interestingly, while there's 1 million people today, those populations grow by 50,000 each and every year because you have children born, and so it just keeps getting bigger and bigger, and the magnitude of the problem just keeps growing.
Yeah, that's a lot. Could you please tell us what is Child Fund Australia and what you do?
Sure. ChildFund Australia is an international humanitarian and development organization. So our goal is to lift children and their families out of poverty around the world. We are one of 11 child funds around the world. We work in over 70 countries around the world. And every day that's what we do, is really try to help families and their children. And we really focus on a couple key areas, Kayla, around health, education, and child protection. We also in Child Fund Australia really focus on helping in some long-term humanitarian crises, like in the refugee camp in Bangladesh that I just spoke of. We also work in Afghanistan, where we have a lot of displaced people because of the war and the conflict there, and people that have had to flee their homes and have no way of making an income or supporting their families. So we also really work on those sort of protracted crises, as well as we've been focusing some of our efforts in Ukraine and Moldova, where people have been forced again to flee conflict and flee their homes.
So sad. And can people sponsor a child?
No, we no longer do child sponsorship, but we do continue to support children and their families around the world, but not through child sponsorship any longer.
Oh, and I think you pretty much answered this where you work, so it's pretty much sort of all over the
Yep.
place where you're needed, helping as much as you can. Can people volunteer?
No, at this point, we don't have volunteer programs. So we really work in local communities and really believe in working with local people for local solutions. So it would be, we just don't have those opportunities in country because we really do try to empower those local communities.
Yeah, I think that's really important, the communities, giving that power and yeah, really important.
And
So
it
that's
needs to be a
great.
community-led solution, right? So
Yeah.
really the purpose of international development should be to work alongside those local communities and then leave them better than they, not better than they were, that's probably the wrong thing to say, really have a community-led solution. And then they're able to sustain those solutions. And because they're their solutions and they've really helped to craft them and really led those changes themselves. And it shouldn't be us going in and telling them what to do and staying for a really long time and being part of that solution. It really needs to be led by those communities.
Oh, amazing. That's cool. And what's sort of your impact? Like, what has that sort of been like?
For me personally, it's really great and incredible to see children being educated. We've got programs in places like very remote areas in Vietnam, and I was able to visit there as well, and really to see us working hard on access to education, especially for children with disability, and really inclusive education, and places where it's very difficult to educate children because of the remoteness, and really working with communities to say it's important to send your children to school, helping them to understand how they can get their children into school so that they are educated, so they've got a better future. And in places like Papua New Guinea, we've got health clinics in very remote areas where we work with, again, the local people there to give them the education they need to support their communities and basic health services. We also support vaccinations around tuberculosis, which is a really big concern for places like Papua New Guinea. So that's another really great impact. And again, having been in Cox's Bazar this year and seeing those refugees, it was really impressive to see the children and their desire to really have these incredible aspirations, right? So they want to be doctors and nurses and pilots and teachers and all of those sorts of things. So how do we help them to achieve those things by giving them some education and some good health outcomes? We also help with multi-purpose centers where the children can go and feel safe. They get educated on really incredibly important topics around child labor, exploitation. Early marriage is an enormous risk for them. So in the camps, child protection is a very, very, very large issue. And so really working so that they understand those risks to themselves, but also creating an environment where they're actually safe and they can be children, because we know that play is incredibly important part of their emotional and physical development. So all of those sorts of things. So we're doing some extraordinary work. There's a lot of work to be done in the world. And I know sometimes when you turn on the news, it can be very overwhelming in the morning because there's everything happening in Gaza and Africa and all over the world. And it's hard to sort of find that slice of positivity and real difference in the world. But I think organizations like ChildFund and other international development organizations are really out there working hard to make differences for children and their families so that they can have a better world and start to lift themselves out of poverty.
Oh, that's amazing. And I think that sort of, we sort of take a lot of those things for granted, like education and healthcare and things, and yeah, but some people, they don't have, that choice. So it's really good, that these things are happening for them because they shouldn't,
Yeah,
miss out. Yeah,
yeah.
definitely.
As we say, every child deserves a childhood
Yeah, exactly
and
right.
deserves a good start in life.
Yep, exactly. How can people donate to you?
So there's a couple of ways. Probably the easiest way is to go on our website, which is www.childfund.org.au, and make a donation online. Obviously, you can still send in a check if you're using a checkbook, or a direct deposit. But probably the easiest way is hopping on our website and doing it that way.
Amazing. And what inspired Gifts for Good?
So our Gifts for Good products are really great because it really allows you as a donor to specify how you want to help. And it really gives you a sense of what that funding will go for, as well as to give a gift to someone in your life, right? So if you've got a new mom who doesn't need any more diapers or whatever else, it's really nice to be able to give her a gift of a new mom pack for a mother that really needs it somewhere else in the world, or to buy an education kit for a child starting school. So it just is a really nice way to either give a gift to yourself and make a donation that way, or give a gift to someone else and really recognize how special they are in your life.
Oh, that's amazing. Is there anything you wanted to recap or talk about that you feel like we haven't spoken about?
I don't think so. I think it's just really to say thank you to you and people like you who are out there and really interested in this topic, because as you can probably tell, it's really near and dear to my heart, and there is so much need. So the more awareness, Kayla, that we can raise about World Refugee Day and the crisis of refugees, and I would encourage people to read more and to educate themselves and to learn more, and to give to organizations if they're able, like ChildFund, and there's lots of us out there, to really to give back and to educate and really care about this issue, because it is an important one for all of us, and it does impact us here in Australia. And there's lots of children and their families that need our help.
Amazing. And for further information, like you said, should people go to your website and your Facebook page?
Yeah, absolutely. Jump on our website. Again, it's childfund.org.au. And you can find out lots about what we're doing in this space on our Facebook page and LinkedIn and Instagram. So we're on social media, and we share a lot of our content and stories, both of impact and need, on those channels.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for joining me and making us more aware about World Refugee Day. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, Kayla, and thanks to your listeners. And I really appreciate the opportunity to come in and tell you about ChildFund.
No worries. Thank you. Thank you everyone for listening. Take care and bye-bye.